Welcome, everybody, to week number 4 of F2 Prognostication and the NFL season. Season seems to be flying by as we've already reached some bye weeks. Carolina and Green Bay start the bye weeks for everybody in week number 4. So, without further ado, I'm Robbie Russell. Let me get right to it. Tony Romo. Tony Romo has played San Diego only one time in his career, and that came back in 2009, in which he had great success. In that game, he threw for 249 yards with 2 scores and 0 interceptions. Now, this time around, Romo gets the Chargers. He gets to take advantage of the 32nd best pass defense. Yes, that's right, the worst pass defense in the league. And in addition to being ranked as the worst pass defense, Romo has much better weapons than what he had in 2009. He's got a more mature Dez Bryant, although I don't think Dez Bryant was in the league, but more mature Jason Witten. He's got DeMarco Murray. If Miles Austin plays, he just has more weapons. San Diego has given up 6 touchdowns and only has created 1 interception through 3 games this entire season so far. If you start Tony Romo, he's going to reward you very nicely come Sunday. Ben Roethlisberger. Now this is interesting. I know most people are hesitant or cautious about throwing Big Ben into their lineup with the way that offense has been producing and has actually really been looking lately. And not lately, but really the whole season, as they're 0-3. But look back to Sunday night and you can take a few positives out of that game. One is that Big Ben hooked up very nice with Antonio Brown. It was nice. Big yardage. It was frequent. And the other one is he threw for over 400 yards. That was a Bears defense that's still pretty solid. And to throw for over 400 yards, that's not bad. Now, a few of the current positives is the Steelers are getting back their rookie running back this week, Le'Veon Bell. And it's against the Vikings, who are ranked 28th best against the pass. And they've given up the most passing touchdowns to date. The presence of Bell, I believe, is really going to help take pressure off of Ben and the passing game. I just don't know how well they're going to perform behind that offensive line still. But regardless, Bell should definitely help the whole offense. They drafted this guy for a reason. He's going to start. He's going to play. He's a lot better than Redmond and Dwyer and Felix Jones. He is coming off injury. How much will he be effective? How much will he be used is yet to see, but I think it helps that whole offense. Start Big Ben in London with confidence. Now, last week, my gamble player was Jason Snelling. And Snelling put up a nice 21 or so point performance in PPR leagues. So hopefully some fantasy owners got production and maybe won their matchup because of that. This week, my gambler is Matt Flynn. Now, I don't believe Terrell Pryor is going to be starting Sunday at home against that was this past weekend, against the Washington Redskins. If you look back to Monday night, the shot that Terrell Pryor took was pretty brutal. He was laying just flat on the ground, face in the dirt for a good 10 seconds, 15 seconds. I personally thought he was out. But he got up, he played more snaps, and then he went back to the locker room. He said that he doesn't remember much from that game. I think it's Matt Flynn. As I've said all season, the Redskins defense is atrocious against the pass, against the run, whatever it may be. Last week, Stafford put up 385 yards in the air, or through the air against Washington. This week, I don't see Washington doing anything spectacular, and I don't see him giving up less than 325 to 330 yards passing. Now, Matt Flynn has yet to be proven in the league, but he has his speedy receivers. He has a good rookie tight end in Michael Rivera, and with Darren McFadden there in the backfield, coming out of the backfield, it presents Matt Flynn with another option that has speed. I believe when Flynn starts on Sunday at home, he's going to produce top 8 quarterback numbers. So if you need a fill-in, you might have Rodgers, you might have Cam, and you're not sure about your backup, look at Matt Flynn as an option. Now, quarterbacks I'm not particularly high on in this week's matchups is Matt Schaub, Russell Wilson, Eli Manning, Ryan Tannehill, and Matt Ryan. Now, I don't like Matt Ryan for the simple fact because, as I said last week with Doug Martin, Bill Belichick likes to take the star player out of the offense. Obviously, the star player this year, as of right now, is Julio Jones. Steven Jackson's out. They have an RBBC. Roddy White's still not healthy with his ankle. And that's why I think you're seeing Ryan really force the ball to Julio, as he did last Sunday against the Dolphins. Belichick's going to make Matt Ryan throw to an unhealthy Roddy White and Tony Gonzalez in order to beat the Patriots, which I don't see that happening often. Rolling right into the running backs. Running back you have to start. Plays tomorrow night. And yet it's not Frank Gore. It's on the other side of the ball, and that's Darrell Richardson. But that is if he's actually healthy tomorrow night. As you Richardson owners date back to just this past Sunday. All of his owners, I'm sure, thought he was 100%. I was told by a few different friends of mine that they put Richardson in their lineup to only see him play one snap and not even touch the ball. So who knows? I don't. Pretty much, to sum it up, if he plays tomorrow night against the 49ers, nobody has given up more rushing scores than the 49ers defense this year, which is really shocking. You date back to last year, and they were the talk of the defense. The defenses, they haven't given up a rushing score yet. It was like 6, 7 games, 8 games or something like that. Now all of a sudden through 3 games, they've given up the most. Aldon Smith's out. Patrick Willis may not play. So now the 49ers defense has even become more susceptible against the run. Richardson, I believe, produces nicely tomorrow night against the reeling 49ers defense, barring he's on the field. Other must-start running backs are Trent Richardson and Ahmad Bradshaw of the Indianapolis Colts, Giovanni Bernard, Maurice Jones-Drew against the Colts, where the Colts give up an average of 4.7 yards per carry. And last but not least is Darren McFadden. A little side note here on the running backs. Expect a great fantasy day from Matt Forte, as he's rushed for over 100 yards in 5 out of 10 games in his career against the Detroit Lions, with 8 total touchdowns and 3 of them coming through the air. Running backs that need to keep your bench warm this weekend is C.J. Spiller and his counterpart, Fred Jackson, Ryan Matthews, one of the hot waiver wire pickups of the week, Bilal Powell from the New York Jets, who travels to Tennessee to take on the 13th best rush defense. And last but not least, don't expect a high performance or even mediocre performance from LaShawn McCoy against Denver. Denver has the best rush defense. McCoy does catch his passes out of the backfield, so if you're in a PPR league, start him there. But with Denver having the best rush defense, being in Denver, they have given up 3 touchdowns. I just don't see McCoy going above 75 yards. Wide receivers that are high on my board this week. Kenbrell Tompkins. I've been high on this guy from training camp from the get-go. He got off to a slow start, but last week he did emerge against the Bucs somewhat, catching 2 touchdowns on 3 catches. That's where the problem lies, 3 catches. He's had the targets, but he hasn't caught the passes. He's only caught 32% of his passes this season so far. But if you have him, you have to start him with confidence, knowing that he's a favorable target inside the red zone coming from Tom Brady. In addition to Tompkins, players joining him on that list is Miles Austin, barring if he's healthy. He's been bothered by a hamstring injury this past game, was forced to leave early. But I think he does play, but all you Miles Austin owners, keep a close tab on that game as it gets closer. Keep tabs throughout the week, see if he practices, so on and so forth. Also, Denarius Moore, Stephen Hill, Antonio Brown, Jason Avant, Eddie Royal, who should get back on track this week as he really cooled off last week against the Tennessee Titans, Marlon Brown, who I think comes back nicely this week, and Ryan Broyles, who gets his first start who should get his first start for the Detroit Lions in replacement of injured Nate Burleson, who got injured in a car crash. Wide receivers that shouldn't produce this week, that I don't see producing this week, DeAndre Hopkins and Andre Johnson as they face off at home against the Seahawks. Julio Jones, as I mentioned earlier, I will believe Bill Belichick is going to take out of that equation come Sunday night. And also Larry Fitzgerald and both the Giant wide receivers for the second week in a row who travel to Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Kansas City Chiefs and their surprising defense. Tight end that has slowly emerged through the first 3 games is Scott Chandler in Buffalo. The problem with Scott Chandler, though, is he faces Baltimore, who has not given up a passing touchdown since that week 1 shellacking that Peyton Manning put on him. Now, granted, they've played some weak offenses, like the Browns, for example, has been one of those games. But if your tight end's coming up in the few weeks on a bye week, Chandler could be your guy to hopefully grow and build on that chemistry with quarterback E.J. Manuel. The Bills will be throwing. As I said, they're playing the Ravens. The Ravens should be winning, giving them a good game at least. They should be throwing. Chandler could be, as I said, building on that chemistry this week even. So if you're hurting that tight end, Scott Chandler could be your guy. And another tight end that's growing is Dallas Clark. Now, Clark is actually the 9th most targeted tight end in the league. And he faces the complete opposite of what I just said, the Buffalo Bills, who have guarded tight ends very well this season, but they really haven't played that high, potent tight end yet. Week 1 was Tom Brady, Zach Sudfeld. Well, Sudfeld was only targeted 1 time. Week 2, that's where the problem lays. They've played Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen had 7 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. And then this past week, they played the Jets and Kellen Winslow, which seems to have dropped off from Geno Smith's favorite target. I feel like Dallas Clark, when they get in the red zone, he's your guy. He's clearly passed Ed Dixon as the number 1 tight end in Baltimore. So give Clark a try. Another tight end is Jermaine Gresham. Gresham has posted 3 touchdowns in 6 career games against the Cleveland Browns, and he could look for more this weekend as they try to maybe focus on A.J. Green. And a little tight end side note here, from now on, without question, you have to start Jordan Cameron and Julius Thomas at the tight end position for the rest of the season as long as they're healthy. To wrap up, a few defenses I like. The Chiefs, as I mentioned, they play the Giants, the Colts, and the Buccaneers. That does it for week number 4 of R2 F2 Prognostication. As always, as I said, I'm Robbie Russell. I appreciate the support from everybody. I look forward to answering all of your questions. Facebook, Twitter, email, whatever it may be. Until next week, I'll see you right back here. Good luck to you in week 4.